So we'll kick this off like we do every week with some Tell Me Something Goods. I'm looking for my Tell Me Something Good, and I think she went to go grab some food. All right, Haley, tell me something. Haley, the mic, Jose. So all that mic's getting down to Haley. Haley, tell me something good, and then be thinking of what you can share as well.
Okay, so I've got a VA loan that Lindsay and I are doing, and we got it in record speed. I think 10 or 12 days, like clear to close. So that will be closing next week. And then I've got 3 upcoming listings.
Wonderful. Round of applause. Yeah. Haley, real quick, share, where did you get those 3 listings, if you don't mind? Sphere, past clients. Mm-hmm. And then an ISA lead. There you go. A smattering of all the different things. All right, Pitt, what do you got?
I went to Marguerite's house yesterday. Who was there at Marguerite's house? Wasn't that amazing? Wasn't that amazing? Sorry. We were here. I'll hand it to you, but it was an amazing job that she put together. A lot of great information. So what'd you learn from it?
Yeah.
Marguerite, her home is beautiful. I just had the best time because I'll be honest, I am in sales and I go to a lot of events, and sometimes I'm like, that one was awesome. I loved it. The content was amazing, and it was just really wonderful seeing all the women out there supporting each other. So I really liked it. So thank you for opening. Yeah, a couple dudes. Thank you for opening your home. Lovely. Hi.
All right. Hey, give that phone or the microphone. Oh, sorry, Tom.
No worries. I was one of the token men there yesterday, and it was amazing. Johnny was there too, and Pitt. It was just really great to see. I mean, it's not gender specific, obviously, but
it was, yeah.
It was all good.
I was fast. I pulled a Brent Gove.
In and out.
And gone, but yeah.
But it was just great to see just not all the women obviously supporting each other, but everything they said was applicable to men as well, because it was overcoming challenges, and the challenges that these women have overcome is truly amazing. So it was fantastic, Marguerite. Great job. Thank you for doing it.
Hats off to Marguerite. Give that mic to Janet. So, sorry, to Janae, right behind you, Tom. There we go. Squirrel.
Are we doing it?
Yeah, tell me something good. What's happening good in your world?
Well, I have a closing next week, so that's exciting in West Roseville.
That is exciting. Well done. All right, and then real quick, Margarita, are you guys doing any pre-sale of tickets for next year's Top Women in Real Estate?
It's so much. I just say I'm not doing it again because it's so much work. But then right after I'm like, oh, I got to do it again. So we don't have anything scheduled yet, but I'll keep you guys posted. Oh, by the way, I got a new listing and a buyer accepted this week too.
All right. And then last but certainly not least, pretty girl.
4 new listings coming up this week. So.
All right. So, well, and a grown kid as well.
Hey, Johnny,
But all right.
Is this on?
So we also have upcoming events. So PCAR is happening. By the way, if you're curious and want to know what the next speakers are going to be at these weekly things, go ahead and scan the QR code. But the next speaker is going to be Phil Stringer. Did you guys see? Raise your hand if you saw Phil Stringer last year? Right. I see some claps in the back. Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. Highly sought after. He brings a bunch of great information. So AI, if you're not using it, or if you are using it and you want to use it more effectively, go ahead and register for this. It's June 20th at PCAR. And then with that, Courage to Act. Learn how to attract agents and grow your business. That's Thursday, May 30th, 12 to noon. It's going to be here in our beautiful office. Is Steve? I thought I heard his voice. Was that Steve's voice? There he is. Would you mind giving him the mic right behind you? Steve, just want to give us a brief rundown on this event?
It's not that event. I'm that event, but so who wants to cover that? I just was going to promote something. I'm happy to. Okay, go ahead.
So this is an event designed around agent attraction, and Brent is coming out, and we're going to spend a couple hours talking about how and what we've done to build our organizations, our EXP organizations. So if you're interested in growing, attracting agents, it literally is changing lives for a lot of people. So if that's something you're interested in, you're going to want to definitely be here.
Steve, what was it you wanted to talk about? Absolutely. So that's actually was next on my list. Alex Dyer, Dyer. Did I say it right? All right.
Yeah, so tomorrow at 10 o'clock in this same room, I do a 1-hour training on KV Core. And it seems to be like a mystery to a lot of agents. But I've used it to grow my business. It's been amazing. And I'm just sharing my experience with you. And tomorrow we're going to cover squeeze pages specifically, which is basically an MLS search using the platform. So
Love it. And for those of you who don't know, KV Core is free. You have access to it if you're with EXP. And so you get to use all these great tools, and Alex is going to teach you how. And then, yeah, so that's all that we have in terms of the upcoming events. Isn't that crazy? Like, we just read off 5 different events happening in the next couple weeks, right? So EXP has lots of training and support for our agents. Speaking of which, JJ, what's happening in the wonderful world of lending? Come on, guys, come on up.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. Let's throw this down here. So I wrote down some things that I wanted to go over with you all. Good to see you all. Good to be here. And I wanted to share some economic data, and I wanted to share where interest rates are, where they're going, and then some objections that you might be able to overcome with when these buyers are saying interest rates are just too high. I don't want to buy right now. And so before I do that, though, interest rates, they're slowly getting better. When we're looking at conventional interest rates now, we're down under 7%. FHA government loans are well under 7%. We're 6.75 even. So some really good things coming out of that realm. Now, the Fed is going to meet again right around June 11 and 12. They already said they're not going to raise rates unless something crazy happens, which I don't see that happening. So hopefully with June 11 and 12, it looks like they're going to keep rates the same but Powell did say they're not going to raise or hike. Now, Powell did also say that we've kind of stalled out on inflation, meaning that when that happened, when we were hoping that inflation would continue to come down. Inflation kind of stalled out. We're seeing it kind of stall. But here's one thing that did happen. Unemployment ticked up. Now, obviously, we don't like to see unemployment tick up for our peers and the people around us, maybe getting let go, but that's going to help interest rates get better. So because of that reason, we did see the unemployment rate go from 3.8 to 3.9%. We think the magic number there is going to be somewhere around 4.2%. So if unemployment rates tick back up again to 4.2%, we could see the Fed cut rates, which would be amazing for us. So they're also slowing their balance sheet down, meaning they're letting bonds kind of leg off, meaning they're going to start buying treasuries back again, which could also help improve the bond market, improving interest rates. At our peak, I want to share with you guys this. A lot of people forget. Do you guys remember back in June of 2022? Do you guys know what the peak inflation rate was? Over 9%. Yes. And do you guys know where we're at today? 3.4%. So we're getting better, a lot better. People forget that. Like, all they see is the interest rate. All they see is, oh, we're still in the 7s. Well, it takes a while, and it takes a lot of things to happen for the rates to come down, but that rate has come down an insane amount just since 2022. They said in the past they want to see a 2% inflation rate. I don't think we're going to get there anytime soon, but I think that they are going to cut rates even before they see that 2% inflation rate. So let me just throw a couple statistics out at you that I wrote down yesterday, and I think this is really important so you guys can know going into your buyer meetings, and you can tell them something that's good about the market right now. So Greater Sacramento area, this is just the Greater Sacramento area. Inventories increased 9% month over month. The total of 1,181 houses for sale, 16% increase from the same time just last year. The current month's inventory is 3.5 months. So days in the market went from 14 days in March to 10 days in April. So more homes on the market, but less days. Let's see what happens here. So median homes prices have also gone up. So obviously that makes sense, right? The homes are selling faster. Maybe there's some higher priced homes going on the market, bidding things up. It went up to $530,000. It increased 6.3% from just last year. Homes have gone up in value 6.3%. Did your buyer wait? An interest rate was 8% last year. Did they wait to buy a home because they wanted to see a 5% rate? That's only a 3% difference. They would have missed out on an additional 3% equity growth in their home. So Sacramento County saw 1,078 home sales in April. 980 sales were in March. Refinance applications rose 7% last week, and they're up 21% from last year. What does that mean for us? That means that people have debt. People have over $1 trillion of credit card debt right now. They need help. They need you guys to go out there and help them sell their homes so they can get this credit card debt paid off and potentially get themselves into a different home with a slightly lower down payment. So that's something that you guys can do for them. Did you guys know that first-time home buyers accounted up to 33% of the sales just this last month? 33% first-time home buyers. A lot of people are out there saying first-time home buyers can't qualify right now. The rates are too high. Well, 33% of the market was first-time home buyers. So one of the things, so I wrote this down and I put it in Chat GPT because I wanted to see what it said was the best designed, if you see these obligations, I don't want to buy a house right now. Interest rates are just too high. Well, I wrote something, I put it in there. So if you get that, what's one thing you could say that could potentially get them to feel better about buying a home now? So here's something that wrote down. So I'm going to wait for interest rates to come down. Okay, totally makes sense. If you want to wait for interest rates to come down, but let me just ask you one quick thing. Despite the higher interest rates earlier in this year, recent slight decreases have spurred buyer interest, meaning rates have come down a little bit. Now there's more buyers buying homes. And just in the Sacramento market, the inventory has increased by 9% month over month. This suggests that more options are for buyers now. There's more homes out there for you to buy. This is a great time for you to go out and start searching for homes. So what does that mean for you? If you wait for rates to drop further, this could lead to missed opportunities in a market where prices continue to go up. So I would beg you, act now, secure a home. Those potential price increases are going to go up. So this is something you could say to them, something similar, but if you want something like this, I can happy to send it to you. We have the data and we can put together in a system that tells you the cost of waiting. I can send that over to you. You could see those reports, send it to your buyer, and not only would you be able to say it to them, but you'd be able to send it to them in black and white. So if you have any questions about that, or if you need anything from me, I'm going to tell you guys a phone number that you can text or call, and it goes to about 4 different people on my team, and we'll be sure to get back to you with anything that you guys might need, whether that's marketing material or be it open houses or whatever it looks like. So that phone number is going to be 916-517-1800. And before I get out of here, do you guys have any questions about loan programs, rates, the Fed, anything at all that I can answer for you guys today? If not, I'll give the mic back to Johnny and get Jen up here.
Can you explain a little bit about the simulators? We've had a lot of success using the simulator book. Speaking with buyers like, hey. Yeah, you're good. So can you just explain a little bit about simulators? Because you mentioned it briefly, but what we've been doing is we've set, I think, at least 8 different buyer appointments this week because they want to learn that information. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, so Johnny does a really good job with his buyers and Valerie and whatnot about getting these different simulators in front of them. And so what those are is we have about 26 different simulators that we can use that point to whatever it is the buyer has an obligation with, or not an obligation, an objection with. So whatever that objection is, we can then help them make the right decision of buying a home and why it could be a good time. So if it's not the right time because of interest rates, well, what does it look like if you wait? Or maybe I'm just waiting for the prices to come down a little bit. Well, does that make sense? Let's look at the history of where prices were just last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and see what could have happened if you would have waited that long. So whatever that objection is, we've got a simulator that we can put that in and send you a report, making sure that you have the data you need to have a good conversation with your client. That makes sense? I explain that? Okay.
Any other questions?
Thanks for letting me be here, guys. I appreciate y'all.
All right, round of applause. All right, we're rocking and rolling because we got two fantastic speakers that are gonna be coming up. But first, we have Good Life, who's gonna be speaking on the power of pre-list inspections. Now, before they come up here, I want to share with you what's happening right now on a deal that we're working on in Grass Valley. So the husband passed, the wife has dementia, and the daughter has power of attorney. And we're in contract, and the daughter doesn't know anything about the home. She hasn't lived there ever. And the mom can't articulate what's going on with the home because she has dementia. And so prior to going live, I begged her, say, please, and I think we even had we actually had this on the books and she canceled. And I said, please do a pre-list inspection. This will save you a whole lot of heartache and it'll save you a whole lot of money. And she said no. And now here we are 2-3 weeks into escrow. The buyer's agent is frustrated. The seller is frustrated because they don't know. There's all these things popping up that they were not aware of, that the seller was not aware of, and the buyers were not aware of when they made the offer. And so what this is going to end up happening, what's going to end up happening is it's going to cost our client a lot of money in order to deal with this during the escrow process, rather than if we had marketed it with this information up front. So, I mean, this is real life. This is the power of a pre-list inspection. Compare that to other homes that we've sold, where we come in and it's like, hey, the home's sold as is. You know what's going on. You know what the status is. You know what the condition of the property is. You know the pool has a slight leak. And then we move forward, and it really helps with negotiation. So this isn't theory. This is what's happening and what we're seeing success with in today's market. So please welcome to the front of the room, Jen and Justin. All right, give them a round of applause, guys.
Hey, thank you all for having us here today. You want to start out, Jen?
Yeah, I'll start. Jen Finley here with Good Life Inspections. I brought Justin Nethercott. He is our manager of the termite division. And we're here to talk about pre-list. How many of you are fans of pre-list inspections? Yes, okay.
Ooh, that wasn't that many.
Oh my God.
See if we can change your mind.
That's why we're here. That's why we're here. So we're gonna start right out with, like you said, better marketing.
Ooh.
You would have marketed different if you would have known what was going on in the house.
Well, I'm guessing the benefits are going to be knowing what the condition of the house is and how to present that to a potential buyer and what loans or what buyer you may be accepting, right? Is that kind of, John, what you would kind of deal with now on that particular one?
So how I market this is part of our 7% program. In order for us to get 7% listings, is we offer a certified pre-owned home, and part of that is getting the inspections done up front. So if you want to offer a certified pre-owned home program, you can make pre-list inspections part of that.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Exactly. The benefit is you get to choose your inspector, your inspection company, and then you have a dialogue with the inspector and your seller, right? So this will help them out understanding what it is. No one likes to hear anything wrong with their home, but this kind of gets you in front of it. And when you're in the real estate transaction process and you have a buyer and you didn't do a pre-list inspection, now you're just reacting. This at least gives you a chance to be proactive about it and know what's going on with the home. And you can kind of go over that conversation with the sellers and just depend on how you're going to market the home. If it's something you can take care of before you go on the market, or bill through escrow, or you're just going to price the home accordingly and say, hey, we know we have different defects in the home, and this is how we price, came up with our listing price, and, make your offers accordingly. I think this would also help shorten your contingency time just as well to close on everything. Correct me if I'm wrong, but then you can say, hey, we want a shorter contingency period because we've already offered you all the information from a reputable company on these properties or on the home.
Yeah,
Anything
well-
you want to add?
Well,
Jen?
I want to add too, because you can also save money as far as with the repairs, right? Minimal cost to the repairs, because nobody's seen the house, right? It's pre-list, no one's seen it, it's not on the market yet. And so say they call out, you want to talk about,
Oh,
got the link
you're
up.
trying to tee me up here. Okay. So we did a home a couple years back. It was in Elk Grove area, had brick veneer on the front of the home. 2 homes side by side. One did a pre-list inspection. Damage ran behind the brick veneer. We had to remove the brick veneer to actually gain access to the wall framing. We asked the seller, said, hey, we can put up siding or a different kind of fascia board here or something to change the look of the home and save money instead of putting all the brickwork back on the home. And of course, that was something they went for because we saved them about $5,000. Fast forward a month or two, we go to the neighbor's home. They did not do a pre-list inspection. It was a buyer's inspection, and the buyers saw the brick veneer on the front of the home, loved it, and wanted it back. Had the same conditions, same design home, wood rot ran behind the brick. But in this instance, we had to remove all the brick and then reinstall the brick. So seller A, who'd gotten the pre-list, and this is best case scenario, was able to save $5,000, and then seller B, they had to pay for that because that's what the buyer saw and what they liked about the home was that brick veneer. So in the other instance, the house never hit the market. No one saw the home, so no one knew that it had the brick veneer on there. And it was a good way to do just a different repair. It's still aesthetically pleasing, just less of a cost and labor and material.
Yep.
Same thing with awnings, patio covers. You see a lot of those trellises on the back of homes. Oftentimes those are rotted really bad. The buyer will be like, oh, I love that. You know what I mean? That shade structure. It doesn't offer a whole lot of value in the damaged condition. So oftentimes we're able to do the pre-list inspection and then recommend to remove that. Same thing with decks, either shrink the size of it or change it completely to like a decomposed granite on the ground when that's applicable.
This is all in the recommendations, right? So we can always maneuver the recommendations to what the clients are wanting, right? It eliminates last minute fall throughs, right? You don't want to be on the buying side and your inspections are done and now it calls out $50,000 worth of dry rot. Everyone's scrambling. We want to close escrow. Yeah, we have to get the repairs done. So this just eliminates all of that if you do it ahead of time and you know kind of what you're getting into.
Exactly. I think it goes back to one of the pros at the very beginning slide, that if you know what condition the home is in and you're going to do list the home accordingly, you already know what the buyer is going to find, right? If they have a $50,000 deck damage or something like that, or a lot of siding repair work, you can market the home with those items already known. So when the buyer comes up and goes, oh, my inspection got done, I found all the same stuff. Well, you already knew about that because we offered our pre-list inspection to you.
I like to give extreme examples.
Yes, you do.
This is a big headache. This actually was on the buying side. This wasn't a pre-list, but this can happen.
In this neighborhood the other day.
Yeah, this is in Wexford. And this happened in 2020, right? When the market was hot.
Okay. We did an inspection for the buyer. We found staining, rust, and some swelling on the interior of the wall on the exterior of the home, indicating that we had moisture intrusion into the wall. Unfortunately, this was a further investigation. So we knew we had water damage potentially in the wall framing, and the only way to identify it during or middle of an escrow was to open up portions of the exterior wall and interior wall. And Jen, I think you got the next slide for that.
Yeah, really quick. Does everyone know what a further inspection is? Yes? Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry. I gotta, Okay, so this was closing the next day and we had to open this whole thing up.
Yes. So seller was an attorney, let us know that multiple times, and wanted to know if we opened it up, who would be paying to put it back together. And of course, he was the one signing the contract. So when we opened it, we had found extreme damage to multiple points of framing. This home had different material on the outside. You have slate stone, you have brick, metal, stucco, and a lot of different points where moisture can enter the home. This was probably happening not after day one of build, but a few years down the road without proper maintenance and sealing. So this isn't something that happened overnight. It had been leaking in the walls for years. It rained. This wasn't like a supply line, like a water leak or something like this. This is exterior rain and moisture that was getting its way in. Underneath this giant window, you want to go back to the first picture real quick? So wherever there's brick out here, there's giant pieces of metal or angle iron that's bolted into the home to hold that weight up, okay? And what it was doing on the front of this particular home was it was pulling away. And if it wasn't sealed properly or resecured, it allowed moisture to get in there, or water, rainwater, and then it made its way down, trapped itself inside of the insulation, and then just went to town damaging the wood with wood rot and fungus damage. At this point in time, it was about 17 years old. So it wasn't that old of a home. That's why I said it wasn't happening day one, but maintenance would have prevented this.
And now the buyer actually was like, I don't want this house. Are you going to be able to fix it exactly how we saw it originally? And the seller was willing completely to pay for everything. He's like, hey, I'll pay for this all. He goes, if you don't want this house, I'm going to put it back on the market and sell it for more because it was that time of the market. And then the buyer was like, well, I can go get that house over there. And we're like, go ahead. But what makes you think that that house over there doesn't have the same damage that this house does? So
And if the seller's willing to
pay for it.
pay
then-
for it, take care of it, and we can guarantee it's going to look the same way when finished, permitted, and planned, I mean, there was no reason not to move forward with it.
So they closed. It ended up taking about 3 months. And
So we'll take in how much damage was on there because it was the whole front of the house.
like that. No, there we go. Okay. This is finished product.
Here's
so
your finished
everything-
product.
The only thing you can tell really is the brick, like way up there, is a little bit different, but everything else was done and completed by our repair crew.
So these repairs were planned, permitted, and completely done through Good Life inspections, okay? With our construction division just as well. So this is a pretty awesome job. Took about 2 months to get this completed. More shock and awe.
This
Uh,
is Justin's too. I'm sorry. Because this is in what area?
This is El Dorado Hills.
Yeah.
So the family had already moved, the selling side had already moved to Texas, started their job and their career there. Buyer was a police officer moving up from the San Jose area. Loved the house, loved the location. Family lived around the corner, so this was the right place for him to go. In the middle of the buyer inspection, which I performed, again, found water damage and fungus damage in the substructure, and we knew we had damage extending into inaccessible areas. So again, one of those nasty further inspections had to be performed here, identifying that we had wall stud damage from the bottom floor line all the way up almost to the roof line. So this was a past roof leak along with stucco to window integration. Okay, so there's a builder problem here. This house is probably about 20 years old. And the only way I can describe what the stud framing looked like is it looked like it was charred, like it had been burnt in a fire, but it was actually wood rot. So there wasn't a whole lot holding up this side of the home. Again, this was in the middle of an escrow. The selling agent actually threw her hands up because didn't want to negotiate. We had met with the broker of that office, the buyer agent, buyer and seller to negotiate on how to go about making these repairs and getting it across the finish line. We didn't just
Yep.
She just threw her hand. It was crazy.
Yeah.
She just threw her hands up and didn't want to deal with it. And the seller, I mean, as bad as this was, they were still willing to negotiate and talk about how to get past this point. After this, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But we were able to get them across the finish line. So it doesn't stop at the inspection. So when you choose the right company to partner with, like we went after hours to try to work with them and figure out a solution, not just throw numbers and a report at them. So I think that's a big thing to say about us, that this didn't happen over one phone call or an email. This was multiple meetings on the property and what expectations were going to be at the end of this.
It's getting in front of it too. So these are just extreme examples, but these are just, I'm sorry. It's happens.
Further
though. This
inspections are
happens
like
every day.
garages full of storage. Like we need to go see the
Yes.
inside of the wall.
But this is stuff to, you can help in the beginning of the stages instead of in the middle of it, and then you're scrambling.
And how this would help with a pre-list inspection, at least you don't necessarily need to open all this up. You say, hey, we know that there may be concealed damage here. That is up to you, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, if you want to move forward with the home, knowing that there's a further inspection on the home and how you'd like to move, process all that when you're purchasing the home.
Right. Here's another example of a pre-list versus another inspection done in escrow. And then we actually came out as a third party. I know, North American.
I know.
Formerly, this is back in the day.
So we need new slides,
November.
apparently. Thank you, John. So this is when you don't partner with somebody or bring out the proper company to come out and do your pre-list inspection. So there's a lot of different companies out there, big companies that do general pest control, and they offer termite inspections on a home. They're not performed they should be performed the same, but they're not, in a sense, they're not performed in a real estate transaction where everything is listed. So if you have big companies that you do general pest control with, they'll offer you a termite inspection on the home. Oftentimes they won't go into it in depth looking at all the plumbing. They're really just looking for termites or any wood rot on the outside of the home. So when you do a real estate inspection, like when you're doing a termite, and we deal with a lot of real estate transaction, you go in more in depth. It's almost borderline with a home inspection because we have to touch base on all those items. This particular one was a smaller company that did the pre-list inspection. Very small report. Seller's like, great, not that much money, you know, on repairs. I'm going to go ahead and list it with this. Buyer gets their own inspection, and this inspector went to town on the home.
Like first
And
time buyer.
it was a first-time buyer, and basically there was a lot of decks on this property. I don't think we have any photos of that, but there was deck work on here that could be repaired, and everything was remove and replace brand new. And there was like over 1,000 square foot of decking on this home. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller go to sell their home at $4,200 worth of dry rot repairs on there, and then their buyer comes back with $64,000. So we've all seen different reports and different dollar amount. This was really, really extreme, and it just scared the heck out of the buyers. They were ready to walk away. I believe we knew both sides, the listing agent and the buyer's agent, and they brought us in for kind of a tiebreaker on that. Not great, but we went through and tried to re-engineer on how the repairs were going to be performed, other than complete replacement of decks that were in completely good shape for the most part, because they had composite decking and pressure treated framing, but a few of the support frames were damaged. We were able to come in, save them money, but still this was a big difference from what their original inspection said on there. So trying to keep it all together and work with both sides on here. This would have helped if they would have partnered with Good Life and done the original inspection with us. They would have had a more realistic idea how to present or represent that home.
Now, on a home, like the findings are facts, right? You can't change that in a home, but you can also work with the recommendations on the report. And I think that's what we're trying to gear into is these
Yeah.
recommendations and how you can do the repairs, hopefully at minimal cost.
So for example, on this one, we had some wood rot to some framing components of the deck, but for the majority of the deck, it was a composite deck tread and then pressure treated framing. So the only portions that were damaged were like support posts and then girders, which could be replaced without having to remove and replace the entire deck. And that was probably where the biggest cost difference was between report number 2 and our report.
That's it.
Ooh, what do we do?
I know. Any questions on the pre-list side?
Any comments?
Comments, yeah.
Just in terms of putting up the pre-listing inspections, just shout out to you guys. I've had buyer's agents call me and be like, oh, good, I'm so glad that you used that company because I was going to use them anyways if we had to get our own inspections done. So, you know, just shout out to you guys for good reputation in the area and, you know, people enjoying your quality of work. So
Thank you. Also, too, if you have a pre-list inspection or you're on the buying side and you see reports on the listing side from our company, and your buyers are cool with the reports, our inspectors who did the original on the pre-list side will come out and walk through the property with your buyers. So that way you're totally aware of what's going on. The reports are lengthy. Nobody wants to read through them all. It's best to do a walkthrough with your inspector to kind of get a visual of see what's going on with the home. So we're totally willing to come out, no charge, to do the walkthrough with you.
That's really big. I mean, to go out there and kind of go through it with the potential buyer, we have, you know, no obligation to them, but we want to be able to provide that service, that extended service from the seller to the buyer, to walk them through it, to make them feel comfortable with the inspector because they weren't there during the original inspection.
And so just really quick, our services, we do home, termite, roof, sewer lateral, and pool inspections. We have our in-house repair crew. You can bill through escrow. We also, well, you want to talk? We have a construction division too. So if you need a home remodel, bathroom, kitchen, an add-on, ADU, our construction side can handle all of that.
Jen always says if it's the area they want, the school district, but the home is missing a room or it's just not the right bathroom or kitchen,
Right.
we can make it the right home for that buyer if it's in the right neighborhood.
Pest solutions. So we do premium one-time services. So you just need that one shot around the house for cockroaches and bugs. We have a whole pest division that can do that. Also, rodents, insulation, removal, our company can handle that as well. And that can be billed through escrow. I know that's pricey as well.
Yep.
Restoration. So we mostly deal with people with the loss of a fire and the insurance side, but we also do emergency board ups. We do debris removal, water mitigation. If there's a leak in your house and you need the drying fans. I just happened to my house recently.
I was going to say, tell us about your
Took
experience.
5 days to dry out the wall. But if you have any of that going on with any of your clients, that division can help out. And let me give you permitting, we have our own structural engineer and permit department now.
Are we letting everybody know about
Yeah,
this?
we
This
just
was like
posted it.
our thing in house.
Yeah, so if the home needs a permit, we have our division can get through that
So
so much faster.
when we showed you a few of those photos, the shock and awe, and I said we were able to get plans and permits performed in 2 months and pass with the county or the the building department. It was because we were keeping this a secret in house, where we actually have a drafter in home, an engineer, and then they submit all of our plans and stuff. We're starting to pass this on and let others use it.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, you're letting the secret out
Okay.
here. So
They just
um,
posted it, so we're good.
no, we're good. This is a big one. Yeah,
It
this
is big. Deck and balcony law. I believe this is going to be in your disclosure soon. It's mostly dealing with the condos for real estate agents. But this is a California law, and it's literally the decks and balconies 6 feet and above all have to be inspected by January 1st of 2025. So pay attention to that if you have a condo deal.
Yeah, I just saw this booked with our commercial home inspection just as well,
Oh,
because
yeah.
it was a require, you know what I mean? It was part of the requirement of the
Yep.
loan. Yeah.
Okay, discounts. So we're always trying to help you out in any way. So we do offer bundle discounts if you order multiple services. VA discounts if you have a VA buyer, let our office know, and it's a free termite inspection when booked with a home, or it's just a straight $75.
Love
Um,
pets.
And also senior living, if you have a purchase in a senior living community, same thing, $75 for a termite inspection. Pricing really quick. That is based on square footage and the foundation type. So it starts at $170 for a termite and about $500 for a home inspection, and it goes up from there.
I think that's everything.
That's it. Yes. Yeah. I did not buy it from Costco. Yes. So
Thank you
back
all.
to the snacks. There you go. Oh, yes. Oh.
A lender on the other side of it. So we usually see this when it's become a problem, where someone was in escrow and now it's falling out because inspections weren't done until we got it.
Right.
From the agent, what is either your opposition or your client, your seller's opposition to doing inspection? To me, sort of seems like a no-brainer to do that. Just hearing this kind of avoid some of that.
Right.
But what's the reason? I think it's just not. It hasn't been common. It's been very common in the Bay
Yeah.
Area. But it's not been typical. And I think the cost for the seller when they're required to pay for that. I've been doing it a lot. I've been strongly suggesting it a lot more, but it just wasn't. I started doing it with the home inspections.
Right.
Let's be honest about it. Selling a home or buying a home is very stressful, right? You add in having an inspection done while you're trying to list it. We don't want you to lose a listing. We just want you to inform your folks as much as possible, right? Yep.
Yeah.
That has not been typical for our market, but it's changing.
Mhm.
Are they then also required to disclose?
Yeah.
Well, that's the issue too. Like I have a probate situation going on right now too, and we were talking about pre-home inspection. And we were talking. I have a probate situation too, and the home was built in 1930 in Fair Oaks, and it's on the side of a hill. And there's a property in front of it. So I was talking about sewer scopes because that didn't used to be a thing ever either. And now I think if you have a house built prior to
2000.
2000, I would make it a requirement to get a sewer scope because it'll cost that buyer or seller a lot of money. So I'm just trying to, and they're like, well, if we know that now we have to disclose it because they don't have any, they've never lived in the home. I'm like, well, yeah. And I said, but it could also prevent possible issues with a 1930s home. So it's just it's a different conversation than we're used to having.
Great point. Good.
Awesome. So, Jen, what's the best way to reach out to you guys?
just to make a note of that, I feel like contingencies are like 5 to 7 days for inspections right now. I try to
List
make,
would help with that.
I try to make magic happen on our schedule, but please, please feel free to text me. And even if you're making the offer, you don't know if it's accepted yet, but you're like, hey, can you get me on hold for these inspections? I'm more than happy to do that for you. And that way you know exactly when your inspections are. It's crazy right
Yeah,
now.
we'll hold it for like 24 hours. Jen will reach out to the inspection team and then see where we can get those inspections on the calendar. We've got probably 10 live right now that need stuff tomorrow because guess what? We're coming up on a 3-day weekend
Yeah.
and this is going to be crazy. So you let us know.
Let us know. We do
Let Jen know.
Saturday inspections too, which is helpful. So
Cool.
Saturday inspections too. Right. Round of applause for Good Life.
Thank you.
And I will say on the inspection front, you guys are pretty fast. We had a situation when dude took time off work and there was a miscommunication on the schedule and they made it right and they sent somebody out there. And if they couldn't send somebody out there that day, it was a Friday, the owner was going to go out and inspect the property on Saturday. And this property was out in Plymouth. So it wasn't Pioneer. Sorry. It was out in Booneyville. Yeah, that's politically correct. So yeah, so they're fantastic. All right, guys, we have one more speaker, and he gave me a little intro, so I'll read this because we want to set the stage for this guy. You're gonna have your socks knocked off. His name's Stephen Ross. He's originally from Southern California, and he began selling real estate in 2005. And for the last 15 plus years, he's been in Colorado. He says he's the worst type of a person to be a real estate agent because he's an introvert. He doesn't work nights or weekends. You can't find him online. He doesn't do parties or events unless he's speaking for the Brent Gove real estate team. And in fact, he might even be a little antisocial. Yet he built a successful real estate business, not once, but twice, doing one thing and one thing only, and that's knocking on doors. He's knocked on over 125,000 doors. So Stephen Ross is also the author of the book, Doors Open When You Knock, a realtor's handbook for boundless opportunity and freedom. And he coaches and trains agents to work less, earn more, and not feel guilty about it. Round of applause, please, for Stephen Ross.
Thank you, Johnny, and good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Awesome. All right. So I thought I had 30 minutes. Now I got 10. So I'm improvising on the fly. I have way more slides than I have time for. So if you don't mind, bear with me. Just curious, who's knocked on doors before? Just curious. Oh, wow. A lot of you. Okay, great. And so you all know that knocking on doors is this warm, fuzzy, inviting experience, right? Yeah? No. All right, who's the person? There's always one. Who's here that's like, oh, I would never open my door for a door knocker. Who's that person? Don't be bashful. Awesome. Yes. What's your name? Josh. Josh. All right, Josh. Today, I knock on your door and the spirit moves you. And you open the door. We have a pretty good conversation. And afterwards I say, hey, let's take a selfie. What do you think? Sure. Sure. Okay. Now look at all these people that have taken selfies with me. This is just a handful of them. So what's there like a presence that has people take a picture with me? And there's lots of them, right? There's lots of answers. This is the interactive part. Sorry, online, I can't hear you. But what's there? Shout them out. What's there like a presence in our conversation? Obviously, I don't have time to demo it, but what's there like a presence? What qualities are there? Rapport building, yeah. Someone else. Energy, trust, yeah. Connection, yeah. What's that? Smile, yeah, absolutely, Steve, yeah. So it's all of those things, including trust. Trust is a way to sum it all up. And so this is a trust-based business. All of you are so much prettier and way more social. So you guys do it the regular way. I had to do it at the doors. But it's the same thing. You're building a business based on trust. And when you do that, it gets simpler, easier, and more profitable. And you're working with people that you want to work with. And that's my premise. And, but real quick, very quick background. When I got my real estate license, March 15th, 2005, 6 weeks later, my third child was born. And so here I am in a business that's commission only, and I'm terrible for this business. And those kids aren't going to feed themselves. So I was in a training class and a guy said, brought in a coach, and he said, it's a very simple business. You got to talk to people. You got to knock on heads, knock on doors, pick one. Right? Knocking on heads is what all of you do. You're all social. I'm not that. And I'm like, I guess I'm going to be knocking on doors. And so that's what I did for 16 years. And it's like if I walked from Los Angeles to New York, I'd be almost back again. And so what I learned a lot over that time. But what I learned is real estate success often looks like this. That's what we think, right? We go online and people are flexing in front of their Lambo. If you have a Lambo, no offense. But you know what I mean, right? It's all about looking the part. And what I discovered is really, and Johnny wants me to talk about consistency, really success looks like this. This looks terrible. I mean, seriously, was it Marguerite? Marguerite, are you really going to open the door for this guy? Look, silly hat, yellow shirt. He's probably sweating. He probably smells. Like, really? Are you going to open the door for him? Yeah. What's that?
Very good. Very knocks on my door.
Yeah, okay, very good. Right, but you get right. Success looks like this. It's boring. It's boring. It means doing the same thing over and over and over. That's what consistency looks like. My book, I talk about really the title, it's Doors Open When You Knock, but really it's a handbook for boundless opportunity and freedom. And really my premise is that you can do this business at a high level and not kill yourself. So you can work fewer hours and make as much money as you want, but it doesn't happen by accident. Tom is going to promote my books at the very end. I have 8 books, and Tom's going to tell you how to buy them at the very end if you want to buy one. Since I don't have any time to do this, I'm just going to jump forward. Just curious, who's been in here, well, I won't be able to see online. What percentage of the people are here that are like newer, like less than 2 years? That's not true. Tom, and we're my old timers, like more than 15 years. Well, 15. I'm old too. Me too. Me too. I don't know. Seasoned. All right. So what's the one, I'm going to come back to this. So real quick, I just want to say this. NAR membership in 2013 was 1 million-ish. In 2023, it was 1.5. And then over the last 2 years, the number of transactions is down 30%. And so I know you all know how to do math. So that means there's 50% more people for 30% fewer transactions. Awesome, right? So if you're wondering why, if some of you might be slower, that might be why. It's not the only reason. Also, you know what the public thinks of us? Thieves. Close. They think we're liars. That's what they think. They think we're liars. And if you're offended by the F-bomb, don't read this because it's unfiltered. So basically what the public thinks, so we've got fewer transactions, there's more realtors, and the public thinks this about us. Awesome. And then there's all the myths about commission. And what I'm talking, and I have very little time, is about creating a different context, right? That is one view. That is one view of the industry. And the other view is that we have this notion that you're somebody if you sell a lot of homes, and there's nothing wrong with selling lots of homes. Nothing wrong with it. But we have it that we're only worthwhile if we sell lots of homes. And all of us have different goals. And then the next myth is that something's better than nothing. So if I haven't sold a house in a while, if I work with this person who's a jerk at a discount, it's still better than nothing. Also not true. And 3, that we have to work 24/7 to be successful in this business, which I also disagree with. And that is a race to the bottom. Instead, to set a new context, I'm talking about being totally fulfilled. And this was a study back, it was a book written in 1981 by a psychologist from the University of Michigan. He basically said that having a strong sense of one's life is a more dependable predictor of positive feelings than any of the other conditions. In other words, doing what you want, when you want, with the people you want is the ultimate outcome of predictor of success, not what I just went over. What that looks like in your business is this. If you have a database of 200 people, it was Dallas, right? Alex, sorry. Alex, you were talking about the database KV Core, right? Yeah. So in your database, if everybody had 200 people, now who has way more than 200 people? handful of you. Anyone have any less than 200? And be honest. Anyone have less than 200? When I say 200 people, I mean people that know, what's your name? Stus? Did I get that right? Yeah? Okay. Stus, that know Stus, they like Stus, and they know Stus is a realtor. So if they have a real estate need, they're likely to call Stus. That's what I mean by 200 people. Is everyone tracking me? So if you have 2,000, how many of them are like these 200? Because if you have those 200, that database will do 20 transactions at $500,000. If that's your average sales price, I'm not telling what your commission is, but you're probably not charging enough, except I like Johnny's 7%. So it's an annual GCI of 300,000. By the way, I take Sunday off, and you can do that in less than 30 hours a week. That's the kind of business I'm talking about. Anyone interested in that business? Okay, good. I'm in the right room. Awesome. Hopefully everyone online too. So this is the framework I typically cover today, and I'm not going to cover this today because I don't have time. I'm just going to skip to a repeatable process. And if you can jump to this one while I do something with everybody, that would be great. Don't look at the screen, everybody. Just look at me for a second. I'm going to demo the doors, what I said at the doors while he's switching sides, because people just often want to know. Anyone want to know what I said at the door? Okay, good. Awesome. Thank you for raising your hand. Who wants to role play with me at the door? I need someone who has to be the seller. I'm doing all the hard work, remember. Steve, perfect. He needs a mic. Pass it down. All right. Who wants to hear the role play script? Just curious. Okay, phew. Just so you know, this is going to be totally underwhelming. I'm just prepping you. And I promise you it's unbelievably powerful. All right, ready, Steve? Cool. All right. Knock, knock, knock. Hi, it's Steven the Realtor. You seem busy. Is now a bad time?
What you got?
What I have to say will take less than 2 minutes.
Okay.
Awesome. So you probably have no real estate plans this year.
No.
And if you have no real estate plans, probably not paying much attention to the market.
No, a little bit. I like to watch it.
Okay, cool. Well, my name's Steven. I come through the neighborhood with a market update. Do you mind if I leave you one?
Thank you.
All right. So I hand you the market update. So I know you're not moving. Just curious how long you've been here.
26 years.
Wow. 26 years. Holy smokes. Where did you live before here?
Antelope.
Okay. And what made you pick this neighborhood?
Kids.
Kids. And kids are probably
26 now.
26 now, but this house still works.
Yes.
Yeah. So you'll probably be here another 26 years.
No.
No. No.
No, actually, kids are moving out here soon, and maybe look at a single story.
Single story. In the same area?
No.
No. Where?
Out of state somewhere.
Out of state somewhere. Any particular state?
Not sure yet.
Not sure yet. Okay, cool.
Little
awesome.
premature.
What's that?
Little premature.
Little premature. Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, my name's Steven. You are?
Steven.
Steven. Super nice to meet you. Anything you need before I go?
No. Good talking to you.
Awesome. Have a great day.
Hey, guys, that was tight.
And I'm out.
That was clean.
I mean,
Johnny, you should let him finish.
I don't, it was too short, right? That's like saying,
Do you need me still?
no, you're great. Thank you, Steve. Everyone give him a round of applause. That was awesome. It's like Marguerite, if we're at a function, pretend we're both single, and we have a 5-minute conversation, and then I say, would you like to get married?
Well, selfie's not part
No, I told for sure. Right, but there are stages of a relationship. Yeah. Yeah. No, but it's true. You're not the only that I get that question every time. And so if you're wondering, I'm not there to get anything. I'm there to build relationships, and relationships take time. They're an evolution. And so I'm never rushing the process because I have my end goal is having a database of people who trust me implicitly in handling their real estate needs. So that's what I'm trying to do. And the reason I'm talking about consistency today is you got to have a process. Now, what I did at the door works everywhere. I mean, everywhere. I can be anywhere at any time of the day. You wake, I can have a real estate conversation and it looks almost like at the door. So if I'm at a networking event and I say, hi, do you mind playing with me for a minute?
sure.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Steven. Joey, nice to meet you. Mike. Awesome. Joey, well, so let's pretend we're at a chamber event. Okay. So, where did you come from today, Joey?
I'm just out in Roseville.
Roseville? Okay. Is that where you live or where you work?
That's where I live and
live.
work.
Okay, live and work. How long you been in Roseville?
Oh boy, probably about 9 years.
9 years. Cool. Awesome. Where'd you live before?
Elk Grove.
Elk Grove. What made you move to Roseville?
Oh, I lost a battle with my ex-wife, and that's why I'm here.
But it seems to have worked out.
Yeah, something like that.
Awesome. So here we are at a networking event. Thank you. Everyone give Joey a round of applause. It's the same script. Same script. And I'm never prospecting. I'm just naturally curious. I lead with real estate because it's easy. But then I'm having, what else do you do professionally? How long you been doing that? I'm just naturally being curious. So the conversations work anywhere and everywhere. So being consistent, you're going to say, but Steven, I don't want to knock on doors. You don't have to knock on doors, but you do have to talk to people on a consistent basis, and being able to have the conversations without being stuck, right, is the thing that makes you better. Yes.
Are you taking notes and gather information that you gain from that conversation?
No, I mean, I do, but I remember, because remember, those kids don't eat if I don't create a relationship. And so, right, what you focus on expands. I wasn't going to do any of the other stuff. So, if you guys are all my farm, I'm going to get to know and remember. I am taking some notes, but mostly I remember. Yeah.
So you're in a farm. You already allocated a farm. You're not
Eventually, but when I first moved to Colorado in 9, 10, 11, who was in real estate those years? 9, 10, 11. Awesome time to be in real estate. I was not farming. I was surviving. I was just opportunistic. Yeah. So why do we have guardrails? You all old enough to drive. Why do we have guardrails?
Keep you in your lane.
Keep you in your lane, and so you don't go off the cliff. That's why we have guardrails. And so having a process to talk to people, and I don't mean lead gen, because do you want a list of 200 leads or do you want a list of 200 clients? Clients. So I'm not looking for leads. I'm looking for clients. So I don't even call it prospecting. I call it talking to people. And you got to have a process for talking to people, and you have to know when. So you got to have a schedule. A schedule defends against chaos and whim. Real estate is chaotic, and realtors are whimsical. So we need schedules. This was my schedule for 16 years. It really still is kind of my schedule. When I coach and work with agents, mostly I get one of two options. I either get this, they have no schedule, or I get this, which is impossible to follow. Right? So if you want to be consistent, it can't be this complex. It's too hard. You got to make it simple. That's why you got to have something like this. Now, the trick is, if you're not going to door knock, you got to fill in how you're going to talk to people. But there's two things that are important in your schedule. So if you want to be consistent in your business, the two things that are most important are what? Consistency at what, Justin?
Consistency at talking to people.
Talking to people, exactly. So you got to know what this is for you, what you're door knocking. And then the other thing that people miss is when you go on appointments. So I don't, I get this question, but my clients work and blah, 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 blah. Look, you can't go to your dentist at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday. You can't go to your surgeon at 9 p.m. on a Wednesday. You can't. So you've got to decide, this is when I work. And you know what happens? 90% of the time they fit that schedule, or I do it on Saturday as a fallback. And almost all the time that works because I know when I'm working. And so if you don't know when you go on appointments, the time you go on appointments is anytime. And that's a terrible way to be consistent. It's a way to be consistently working. Yeah.
How do you qualify leads? So, is this person serious, or are they going to hang in my database for a year?
Do they? Yeah, I skipped over that. Do they need help? Want help? Willing to let me help them? And are they ready to go now? If you're not ready to go now, I'm not getting in a car. Now, I don't have time to go in how I do that. Maybe we'll schedule another time. We'll do another workshop with more time. But there's a very simple, elegant way. I'm going fast. I'm being a little cheeky. I do it in a very graceful, easy way. I'm not being a jerk with them. That's a great question, though. So you got to have a schedule. And the reason you have a schedule is because doing something on a schedule you can't control, doing something even you love, is might as well be doing something you hate. And I hate real estate when I'm at the effect of the business. I love real estate when I'm operating from my schedule. And so the reason I get joy out of selling real estate is because I have control over what's mostly a chaotic and unpredictable business. And it starts with the schedule. If you don't have a schedule, you're screwed. I know that's maybe not the most poetic way to say it, but it's true. It's true. And most of you seniors, you know this, even if you're operating at a high level. When I do this with agents who are 20 or 30-year agents, even they see something new when I bring it back to keeping it simple, right? So you might be on the refresher course. Wish I had more time. This is my daughter filming me through the neighborhoods. This was many years ago. And so she's filming, it's pretty boring. And basically at the very end, she goes behind the scenes and she's filming her feet and all that stuff. And she finally goes to the camera and she goes, behind the scenes is boring. Because it is. It is. Consistency is boring. So I'm just going to jump to, all right. Is there any other, I'm just going to wrap up with a quick thought, but before I do, does anyone have any questions, like a burning question? Your hand was first. What was your name? Tim?
My name is Tim.
Okay.
About the businesses, oh shoot. Oh my gosh. About the businesses you have built, you said you did it door knocking.
Yeah.
Did you add other things to that, or did you find that you were successful just doing the one thing?
No, I'm the worst person to be a real estate agent, Tim. I didn't do anything else. I had no email list. I had no website. I literally just did it at the doors.
This is exactly what has held me back. I do something consistently and I start on it and people say, oh no, you got to do this. You got to have a website. You got to have Twitter. You got to have all these other pieces of the puzzle. And it just completely screws me up. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Free of charge. Awesome. Yeah, Steve. I mean, the measure I use, and Tom knows this because we've coached years ago with the same person. The measure I had was number of people I spoke to. Didn't matter whether it was at the doors or not, because one year I was getting in the groove. It was like 2011. My business was finally starting to pick up. I took some time off in July. I felt guilty. So I said, I'm going to do the August 5,000. I was going to knock on 5,000 doors in the month of August. Wow. Dumb idea. That was a terrible idea. I got to 4623, or sorry, 49. Yeah, 4623. It's pretty good. Not 5,000. Still a lot of doors. Anyways, none of my next deals came from those doors. But here's what happened. I go to pick up my daughter from dance. I sit down next to, one of the other moms at dance. I'm hot. I'm sweaty. And we start talking, and next thing I know, I'm showing her and her husband a house the following week. And then the following week after that, right? So when you're stirring the pot, talking to people, you will do business, and you never know where it comes from. All right, one last question. Yeah.
Leave behind, like especially if they don't open the door.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, mostly, it's going in the trash. If you're working a farm, leaving something over time will add some brand. But if you're just starting at the doors, get your butt out there, print 30 of whatever you're going to hand out, and don't leave until you're done talking to, 20 people or something like that. You know what I mean? So it's cost effective, make it reasonable. So the thing about our promises is we're never going to be in the mood to fulfill them most of the time, right? So thousands of times I had to get in my car and drive into a neighborhood and get out of my car and start knocking on a door. And I never, ever, ever, Johnny, I never, ever felt like it. Never. I never felt like it. I never woke up and said, woohoo, I'm going to the doors today. Didn't happen, right? Because you make promises and you have accountability to fulfill on them. And that's how consistency happens, right? It's not how you feel in the moment. So I don't like knocking on doors. I like having knocked. Right. So I'm focused on the successful completion of my promises. So hope you're not working. Just going to end. I'll stay. I have just a few minutes to stay after. If you want to buy a book, tell you how I help people if that's interesting to you. But what I wanted to go back to is I just want to end with those kids. So in case if you were wondering if they starved, good news, they did not. They did not. They made it. That was last year at my oldest son's graduation. But the best, the reason I show this picture at the end is because this is my whole real estate career. And on one hand, a lot changed. Look at that. I raised 3 kids. And on the other hand, nothing changed. My schedule is exactly the same. I do exactly the same things. And so there doesn't have to be flashy or any of that other stuff. It has to be consistent. You don't even have to be that good. Like I'm not even that good, and it still worked out. But the best part was this holiday season, all 3 happened to be home, and my wife took them. They disappeared for a couple hours on Christmas Eve. And I'm like, where the hell did everybody go? They went to recreate this picture. And that was what they gave me for my holiday gift. And the reason I share this is not about my kids, whatever. But you have things, whether it's kids or other things in your life that are important. And so the point is having a business that supports your other things that are awesome to you. And I know this group is all about that. And so, I'm a simple demonstration of when you follow something simply, it actually pays off pretty well. So awesome. I'll stick around. Sorry, it was 20 minutes instead of 10, but thanks for letting me go over. Oh yeah, Tom, tell me about the book.
Was that good or what? And our relationship. Steve and I have known each other for 15 years or so. When I was down in LA, we were coaching with the same coach, Steve Scholl, and we met and just had an instant connection. We would do listing presentation workshops, and he was just flying from Colorado. That's his commitment to get better. And you can see it in his book. Literally, it is based on his experience from knocking on 125,000 doors. So if you guys haven't done that and you want to know how, read his book. But it's not just about door knocking, as you heard. It's about any opportunity and the skills that he's mastered in the process. So the books are $20. I think he has 8 or 10. It'll help him feed the kids that are there. Actually, they're growing up now, but it's just an amazing book. I can't speak highly enough about it and of Steve. And I think we should have him back for a further workshop. So
Yeah. Raise your hand if you'd like to have Steve back. All right. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get it on the calendar. We'll get it on the calendar.
And if you want a
ASAP.
book, come see Steve at the end.
I have another event, and I go to the arena. Tom was great. It just worked out timing wise. Tom, I haven't had to be in your neck of the woods. He's like, "What are you doing in the morning?" I'm like, "It's open." He said, "It's open," and he's like, "Oh!" And so he convinced Johnny to let me in.
Johnny was
for a few
awesome.
minutes.
I was like, Johnny, it was just perfect timing. I said, we got to get you to speak. And Johnny's like, I got someone like, Johnny, he's only out here for 1 day. Can you make something happen? So I paid him well, and Johnny's awesome. And
he paid me in
great.
cigars. I can be bribed with cigars. All right,
Thank you,
everybody.
Johnny. Thank
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's all we have for today. We look forward to seeing you back here Thursday next week, and have a great weekend, all. Take care.